So again, good morning, welcome. My name is Liz Hodges, and for the recording purposes, I'll redo the introduction here. And this is being recorded and will be loaded up later on to our Live Younger YouTube channel, so that those that you want to share it with will be able to go back in and take a look and see what's here. So today our guest speaker is Harris Williams. He's been in the network marketing profession for over 40 years now. He's built several large organizations throughout the years, and he's worked with the best of the best. And today he's going to be sharing with us how to taproot and what taprooting means and how it can help you with your business. So Harris, over to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Liz. And we appreciate you doing all the technical things, because I would have been totally lost trying to record and do all these other things that you're doing for us. So thank you so much. And good morning, everyone around North America. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm actually Zooming in from my literally my home-based, river-based office here in Braden, Florida. Beautiful morning here on the Braden River. I'm watching all the birds and all my little rabbit buddies and some ducks I've got here on the river hanging out with me on the Zoom. And you can maybe hear the chimes here out the window, which I love to listen to. So great to be with you. And as Liz mentioned, my background really has been as a boat captain, fishing guide. I've been kind of a recreational specialist, always loving to teach people something that would enhance the quality of their life, lifestyle-based, health-based, fitness-based. For 40 years. And thanks to finding this profession almost a little over 40 years ago, it really have learned a lot. And, when one of the things I learned early on from my mentor and mentors were how to really develop a relationship with somebody brand new that you bring in person.
Harris, I just had to mute everyone again and it muted you out. So if you can unmute yourself, I'm sorry about that.
Oh boy. All right. So I'm not sure where we left off, but I'm back.
Well, the boat captain where you were talking about.
Okay. Anyway, so ADD, you guys have to listen to my whole, no, I'm just kidding. But I have a little ADD, but I think most entrepreneurs are. But anyway, I grew up here in Sandy White Beaches of Siesta Key, started out as a fishing guide, then became a boat captain at the same time at a very young age. And I love to teach people how to fish, love to turn people on to ways to improve the quality of their life around health, wealth, and purpose. And so I was heavily involved as a professional athlete and also being a personal trainer, and then got involved with high-tech nutrition. And that actually is where I really met Gregory almost now 30 plus years ago, and you back in the early 90s. And, when really Gregory, the story I'll be sharing this morning is very relevant to a relationship that Gregory and I created and a company that we developed back in the late 90s. And so to really talk about, our topic today, I think most of you are probably always trying to figure out, how can I find more people to talk to that are interested in Lifeway, these amazing products and technology, and how do I do that in a way where, I have an endless supply of people who are already leaning forward in health, potentially wealth and purpose. And, and of course, I think the profession has gotten much easier with social media. I mean, think about it. I'm sitting here, as I mentioned, at this beautiful location that I work out of here part of the time, from Braden River. I can throw a stone and hit the river, and I've got my kayaks. I got everything here. I built my business literally globally as I'm sharing information as I am with you with others. So it's come a long ways since we started out in this profession, and it's gotten so much easier. Again, if you understand the fortune is in the friendship, the fortune's in the relationship. And I think so often the reason people feel like sometimes they're running out of people to talk to that would be interested in Lifeway, the opportunity or the products, is because they really don't understand what to do with a new person, whether it's a customer or a new member that's joining your team. And so today we're going to talk about a very simple concept called taprooting. And taprooting is really, and I see that you put up my little scribble there. Thank you, Liz. I was hoping you'd redo that, but anyway, I'm just kidding you, but it'll work. So the main thing about taprooting is that, let's just use an example as I am here. When I was contacted by Gregory back in the late 90s, I had been retired. Again, I retired pretty much every decade since I found direct sales and relationship marketing, because of the fact you can create a residual income in business. And I had just gotten back from Costa Rica, spent some time down there, and was taking a break and enjoying my life. And Gregory called me, and every time Gregory calls me, as the story goes, I always say, where would you like me to move? Because we've traveled the world together. We built some big organizations together. And so this particular phone call was about moving to Colorado and getting involved in an anti-aging company, healthy aging company that was launching. I had never been to Colorado, always wanted to live in Colorado. I always wanted to learn all the snow sports and stuff because I was raised in Florida. I have never been around seasons for the most part. So before you knew it, I was in Florida, I was in Colorado. I didn't know, as I mentioned, one person. And I started because I'd been out of the business world, for several years. I didn't really have a lot of people to call when you're international. And back then it was very difficult because of the fact that, phone charging or landlines and cell phones were so expensive. So when I got to Colorado, long story short, I called a friend of mine up. I'd met at an investment seminar, and you can see his name at the top. His name was David, and David is from Jersey, very successful in as a broker on Wall Street. He was in his early 30s. Honestly, he was not interested in anti-aging. He says, hey, right now I'm just looking to make money. I'm commuting an hour every day each way to go down to Wall Street and back. I have a young family. So for me, not that interested, but it sounds like a great company. And so I asked him, is there anybody else that might be interested? And I knew that David had a great Rolodex of people who were interested in wealth and maybe health and purpose. So the first person he referred me to was Patty, and she lived in Delaware. And Patty had just retired. She was in her 50s. Long story short, she was very interested in healthy aging. And so she wanted to try the products, and I sent her the products, and we got to know each other. And I did a planning session with her. And I'll talk more about that very quickly, because she wanted to create a business because she had been laid off and semi-retired. So initially, I asked her who she knew. She said, I have a very good friend, Dr. Fran. He's in Maryland, also lives in Delaware. He was a doctor, but had some issues with a neuropathy and some problems. He can't do surgery. And so he'd be interested in the product. So he got involved on the products, decided to turn the business on. And what I ended up doing is just doing a planning session with Dr. Fran with Patty. And next thing I knew, they were inviting me to a call with a friend of theirs who was a minister and an entrepreneur out of Maryland, out of Baltimore. That was Bill. And Bill was fascinated by the technology of the product. He tried it. He wanted to look at the business, and he got involved. And lo and behold, I asked Bill, do you know anyone who might be interested in looking at this opportunity? And he turned me on to Angela and Jeff, who so happened lived 20 minutes away from me in Boulder, Colorado. They had met in an investment seminar, and I went and had lunch with them, and they just sold their company. They were looking to travel the world, doing their ministry and helping people, very focused on purpose, very focused on health. And I got them involved in the products, and lo and behold, they brought in actually one other gal named Laura, who was a single mom, 3 kids, who did colon therapy out of her house in Boulder. And so what ended up happening is I ended up working with each one of these people, because what happens so often, and I'm sure this has happened to all of us, I've done the same thing. You meet somebody like a guy like David, he's really, very successful. and you think he's just automatically going to turn on his LifeWave business and he's going to go to town, and you go, oh my goodness, I'm going to create my next presidential director because this guy is so savvy in business. Well, rarely does that happen. And I'm going to share with you why. Because David's got a busy life, as he mentioned to me. And if I did not, ask David, permission and get to know some people he knew, then, which I did immediately after I first contacted him, I created a taproot of influence because I didn't know David that well. I didn't know Patty at all. I didn't know Dr. Fran. I didn't know Bill. I didn't know Jeff and Angela, and I did not know Laura. But within a few months, I created a business underneath Laura and Angela with their help that all of a sudden started to create a lot of volume. And I went right back up to Bill, right back up to Fran, right back up to Patty and David, and gave them reports and let them know they had a big business. And this works extremely well with binaries, as you can imagine, because what I did is I created this power team, this leg, and the fire always burns to the top. Now, here are the critical things that I did. I did a planning session with David that was a short one because he had a short attention span, but I found out what he wanted. His motive was money. His motive was freedom. He didn't want to do the commute. And if I could show him how this business model would work for him, and it would enable him to create another income stream, he was open to giving me some other contacts. And it just so happens, as it started to develop, he said, I got a very good friend of mine. He lives right here in Jersey, young guy like me, knows a lot of people. He's got a new family. He wants freedom. He's tired of commuting. His name was Rich. And I did the same thing in another leg under David. Now, granted, and this is just something that I've found to be true. Sometimes people don't believe it till they can see it. I mean, I think most of you can relate with that. It sounds too good to be true that I will come in and work with your contacts and invest my time, my energy, and even my money to help build you a business. I think most of you would agree. I mean, but that's what this business model encourages. This is what this business model, relationship marketing, can do. And so I just want to kind of give you a snapshot of what happened over the next 20 years off of that one introduction from David to Patty. We developed one business, just in that one leg alone. We factored it in today's list. I think it was almost $750 million actually went through that leg just off one introduction. Now, I'm going to share something with you that is so critical when you taproot. Number one, as I do with David, I do with everybody, I make sure that when I find out what they want. I do a planning session that you have that's built into your success system here with LifeWave that Gregory did an awesome job of creating. And the key is, I have this kind of adage in my mind, a little mantra that goes, you really need to find out who people know before they go. Okay, I know that sounds a little harsh, but if you think about it, if you don't prove to David or you don't prove to the person you just enrolled that they can trust you, that you're in business for them, with them, and will help them, and that if you don't get some movement, because energy and results are the energy of this business, or really kind of the energy of this life model or flywheel, as we call it. And if you think about that in a real sense, the fact that I showed immediate results almost for David by getting Patty involved, I got immediate results fairly soon for Patty with Dr. Fran, and all the way down to Laura. And that, by the way, traveled through Hawaii, that traveled through Canada. That leg has been all over the world because I kept chasing that influence, and I took responsibility for being there with those people who raised their hand and said, I want to start a business. Now, I would take Patty with me, and I would, if she would come, I'd take her to Dr. Fran. So we would basically have a conversation together. And I always encourage you, when you do a taproot, whoever makes the introduction to that person, you want to make sure you have them part of the planning session. You want to make sure they're part of the taprooting, if they're willing to. Now, a lot of times what people get caught up in is they'll say, well, think about it. Most people with David probably would have went, wow, the guy's really not that interested. He doesn't really have time to invest. He's busy. He's making a lot of money. I don't want to do all the work. There's a lot of reasons. Normally, what would have happened with David if I didn't put him in intensive care and prove to him that I would do what I said I was going to do? And it's kind of like if I offered all of you the opportunity, if you would give me, let me borrow $5, I'll give you $20 this time next week. Now, most of you are thinking, sounds too good to be true, but for $5, if the guy will give me a $20 bill back, I will do it. Now, if I do that with you, I give you a $20 bill back, what happens? You have belief that I'm true to my word. And that's really what I do when I'm taprooting. What you're really doing is you're taking the newest person's center of influence, you're getting the introduction, you're taking them with you, holding their hand, taking them through the planning session, finding out who they know. And then once you find somebody that raises their hand, then you work with them. And you just do this forever. But the key is that you can't let time go by. Procrastination and inertia is, to me, kind of a killer in this business, because I think most of you would agree, to create momentum, it's consistency of action. And so most people kind of go, well, David probably is going to go get it. He sounds like he really knows what he's doing. And then a month from now, he silently disappears. How many of you all have had that happen? Well, that's why taprooting is so important. And by the way, if you're new to LifeWave, let's say you don't have maybe some of the confidence I have, you can work with your up team, and they can be working with you on taprooting until you feel comfortable with it. But now with the Zooms and with all the technology we have, you've got so many tools that you can use with this amazing app you have with InTouch, with the amazing team you have with Gregory and Robin, and the Facebook groups. So it's so much easier now to create influence and taprooting and leverage. But I think the most important thing is you have to remember, when you first start working with someone, you're really proving to them they can trust you to take you to their best prospects and friends and family and people they care about. And once they trust you, they will continue to do that. But if you do what a lot of people do, is you kind of just move on to the next person and you don't focus on them and what they want and their why, their reasons, then what ends up happening is they do silently go away. And I think we all have had that happen. And my encouragement to you is to really start to focus on every new person. Remember, the faster you get into their influence, and that's really what I was focused on, I was focused on getting to know everybody that the next person invited me to meet, so that my influence was there. I knew I wasn't quitting. I knew I wasn't going anywhere. I knew that this system worked. And what's crazy is I built 5 legs in that business that all looked the same for the first 90 to 120 days, because it's so predictable, the results you get when you do it this way. What's not predictable is when you kind of just enroll somebody and you go, good luck, we'll clap for you, if you bring a new customer or a new member to LifeWave. That's not really what relationship building is all about. So remember, the fortune's in the friendship, the fortune's in the relationship, but the most important thing is proving to the newest person that you're being introduced to, or they can trust you. And here's what else happens. You find out very quickly if they are educable or open to be coached, and you find out really where they want to play. I found it very quickly in like 5 minutes with David that he had no interest in being part of the system. He wasn't part of the community. He didn't want to be really anything more than refer me people and let me do the work. I found that out in 5 minutes. Now, Patty, on the other hand, did a 2-hour planning session with me. So I found out very quickly she was all in. So it really helps you understand when to hold on, when to let go. Because sometimes it's like a game of chess or checkers. When you start to do this correctly with people, you find out very quickly if they want it, and you find out how much they do want it, or at what level they want to work, their LifeWave business. And so it does all the right things that I look for as far as creating momentum, creating the lifeblood of the business, which is results around product results, health results, wealth results, purpose results. That's really what I'm looking to do for every new person I'm introduced to, because faster they get a win, the more they believe it will work for them. So with that, Liz, I know I've been going for a while, and I'd like to take any questions anyone may have. And again, please feel free to ask away.
Well, great, Harris. That was really valuable information. And I hope that you all were taking notes like I was. And I just really appreciate you coming on and sharing that. A lot of companies, they'll say, well, here's theoretically what can happen. And what you bring to the table is proof is in the pudding, and you actually did this. And you've done it multiple times with more than just this one company, but that was fabulous. So
Well,
if anybody,
by the way, kudos to you, Liz, because Liz is the queen of do it. She worked with Gregory and I with this company, and you were one of the reasons this worked, because Liz would actually look at my organization. Back then, the back offices were very complicated. They still are, but not like they used to be, right, Liz? And Liz would actually let me know when there was someone close to to getting to the next level of leadership or had some momentum. And thanks to Liz and a lot of her follow-up and intel, she really helped us grow this whole organization, because I leveraged Liz as well. And I think that's important. That's the beauty of this business model, is leverage.
yes, absolute leverage is key. And thank goodness that technology has advanced, because now you can just go into your back office and look at your dashboard and see where you're at and what you need to do to hit the next level. And the same thing with your teams. So it's very important to be able to go in there. If you don't know how to do that, get with your sponsor or your up team, and somebody will be able to walk you through that. We've got a lot of great team members that are on here. So if anybody has any questions for Harris.
Actually, I just saw one, Liz, that came up, and it was asking, can we put this in writing? So by the way, the steps are: step one. Number one is, either you or your up team has to buy into this. Okay, if you're brand new, make sure you find somebody who's qualified in your up team that can help you, that you can leverage into their, maybe success, their confidence, and also the tools. Understand all the tools you have. So step one is, when I meet someone, like I meet Liz, for example, I met her today, and she says she's interested. The most important thing I can do, or my up team can do with me, is to set a time to do a planning session with Liz about what results she wants from the products, from health standpoint,
Right.
if she was in the business, from a health, and maybe even a purpose standpoint. We do a planning session. Immediately, we get her top 10 people who are already leaning forward that she knows that want health, wealth, or purpose. And immediately we start to reach out to them together, or utilizing the tools you have with LifeWave. And every time you get someone that raises their hand, you take them through the same process, and it becomes a team event. It's pulling together all of the amazing resources that Gregory and Robin and LifeWave have created, and getting them plugged into that. But the real, I'd say the real magic is at the personal touch of you going down with each person who enrolls as a new member builder, finding out again what they want, what they're willing to do to get it, getting their goals, having permission to, basically work with them, and for them to trust you. and immediately getting into their center of influence, and then tapping into each and every one of those people to find out at what level they may be interested in LifeWave. And as soon as you get a new builder, then you immediately go through the same process, and again, focused on the new person they know. And so it's really kind of a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it works beautifully with the whole good cycle of business as we do it, where you have belief or you're borrowing belief, you're planting these amazing seeds or patches with new people. Once they raise their hand through the follow-up of using the app, your up team Zooms, all these different things you have, you then help someone get started right, which would be that kind of, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And the more you get that good cycle of business flowing, the more people that are in the process, people start to raise their hand, and they now are starting to make it known. They see it and they want it now. And that's the beauty of this, is that you have to stay, in the process. Procrastination, I would say, is the number one thing I see that really kills your momentum and your trust with people. And when they don't hear from you in a few days after they get started, and if they don't know what to do next, it's real easy for them to say, well, I don't know if it's going to work for me, or my friend said this wouldn't work for me, or whatever alien thoughts enter their minds. So that's why you want to get this moving quickly. And I can write this up and post it maybe on the Facebook group if that helps, Liz.
Okay, well, to a large degree, a lot of this is in the business planning session, which is in the back of, not back office, it's in the Live Younger Success under Learn More tab, under the Getting Started tab. And Gregory has done a video there with the workbook where you can download the workbook and go right through the business planning session right there. You can download it. There's also a flip book if you're wanting to do it online, and that's under the library section of the document. So somebody had asked about, can this be added to the step 1, 2, 3? This is actually part of step 2 in the business planning session to set up a time to get with your enroller. And even if you've done this already, it's good to do it again, because walking through the steps again with your upline, with your up team, helps them know how to help you. So with that, Harris, I think that you've done a fabulous job today. And we really encourage you to be able to tap into the weekly programs that have been put in place for the Live Younger Success team. So with that, Harris, I want to say thank you to you, and thank you to everyone for joining us. And we'll see you on the next call. So thanks and take care.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Rita.
This is Sun Shower. I'm in Arizona.
Okay. I said, I know it looked like, oh, sorry. It isn't Rita.
Yeah. A couple questions. Well, one is I've been in network marketing since 2001 pretty ardently, and I don't lack confidence, but what I have not been able to accomplish that you talked about so in such confidence here today is this tap rooting, and actually getting a person to share. Oh yes, I know someone here. Let me give you their number. How do you do that?
Well, I mean, again, I think what I'm very, first off, I'm very clear, and I think I'm pretty transparent when I'm working with someone. And with David, first off, I think it's important to understand what someone wants, right? So one of the things I think that happens sometimes when we use too much social media, too many tools, and we don't really get to know people, because I just find that when you ask people questions, about, really what they want or what they're, looking for, how they're doing. And they kind of give you those answers. And for David, he told me exactly what he wanted. He said, if you can really prove this works, I have tons of people I'll bring to you. And so I said, well, can you start with one? And he laughs. He goes, yeah, I got a lady to be perfect. She needs the product. She's looking for something like this. And so we did. But one thing I had him do was an intro over the phone with me. Back then, we didn't have a lot of other options. And so I just asked people, not everybody's going to do what David did. But what I've found is that you got to think about this. I brought 3 people. I've had to go through hundreds of people, but I found 3 people like David. And David wasn't really the person that made this go. It was really Angela, Jeff, and Laura, who were many levels down and many states away from each other. So what I find is that so often, we've got to build that relationship and just be very open to, offering them a way where they can leverage my expertise. And that's what I said, David. Look, I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to prove to you this will work. Just give me one person. When it worked for one person, he gave me another person. And by the way, if you don't ask, you don't find out. And not everybody says yes. Okay. Some people will say, they'll give you excuses, and that's okay. Maybe they don't feel comfortable with it. But I find more often than not, when you ask people to I said, do me a favor, David. Would you let me prove this works? Would you let me at least prove it to you? And he said, okay, here's a lady for you to talk to. And so I find when you do that, do you a favor, ask them, would you at least be open to it? They're open to doing that. But I think more often than not, we don't ask. I have never been shy. And so I find that by asking people in a very polite way, you find out. And I think that that's really what ends up happening. And that's why you need to have a really, work together as a team, because some people are maybe a little shyer. So they would work through me every time they found somebody to talk to. And that's the beauty of leveraging our different talents. And Gregory will tell you, because Gregory and also Liz were part of this whole movement, is I leverage Gregory every day. I still do. I leverage Robin every day when I find somebody, because they've got the confidence. And that's the beauty, is you can borrow your up team's confidence until you get your own. And so that would be my kind of short answer to that, is that's why we're all helping each other, right? Because everybody's got different talents. And so one of mine is that I'm pretty good about getting in front of people and finding out, what they want, and seeing if and showing them I can help them get it. But the most important thing is proving it to them. Because once you have somebody's trust, and the tools don't necessarily do that, they show you that there's a system. They show you there's a great way to get a video out, to get a response when people looked at it. But really where the connection is with people is when you're interacting, you're hearing about their dreams, what their why is, what they're willing to do to get it. When you find somebody like that, you could work with that one person literally forever. And they would keep bringing new people through their organization to you. But what I find most people do is they stop, they go, oh, Sunshine gets this, or Sun Shower. You go by Sun Shower?
It is Sun Shower.
It's beautiful. I love that. And so, is that when you find someone that's open to doing that or working with you like that, then you've got somebody that you can taproot into. And I just find it builds trust. It saves you a lot of time wondering, is this person ever going to turn their business on? And by the way, if for some reason they don't follow through, or I feel like they're dodging my text or calls or emails, I just text them or I'll call them and just let them know that, hey, it sounds like you must be busy. I've tried to reach out to you. Let me know when you really want to build and engage in your business. I'm there for you. But most people never know that. And sometimes the timing's not right for people. But what I really look for, and then I always say, oh, by the way, if you introduce me to a few people while you're getting things in your life in order, whatever you're going through, I'll work for you in your behalf. And so I just find when you make those offers, some people will say yes to that. And it's okay if they say no, but I really believe no means not yet. They need to know more, and you need to stay in touch with them. I've had people I introduced LifeWave to 2 years ago who I could not get to an event. I got to them to an event with David recently, and they all enrolled. Why did they do it 2 years ago? They weren't ready. So it is important to stay in front of people.
So thank you. I love three-way calls. I think that's another thing that's maybe a thing that folks are a little shy to do. Maybe they don't know how. Maybe it scares them. I'm not sure, but I went ahead and I think David Itkow and a new distributor of mine, and I did a pretend three-way call. I think it's on, it might be on, it is at Live Younger, the Facebook page. We did this last Monday, the prior Monday. And so three-way calls are fun. And I think that would help. It sounds like that you, Harris, did some three-way calls with people to Taproot, right?
No doubt. That was all we had back then, was three-way calling. That was really high tech back in the day.
Right.
And it's great play. Now, of course, with Zooms, I can see you, right? And, you can see me. So there's even a higher touch factor when you add the Zoom effect, if they're comfortable with that, right? Some people aren't comfortable with the Zoom yet, but I'm very comfortable with that now. And thank goodness we have it, because it's really allowed us a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
To build our business without having to jump on planes.
Yeah, I've been doing Zoom since 2016, so I'm really comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with the three-way. In fact, I'd like to ask you, I sent you a private message, but I don't know if you saw it. But because you have personal training in your background, and because I have a personal trainer that seems interested, that I've already done a three-way with, who yet has not joined, I would love to chat with you about that and maybe do
Sure, love to.
That'd be great. I put my
we
phone
can
number
maybe take
in.
that. Yeah, we can maybe take that offline. So anyway,
I sent my phone number to Harris.
okay, great.
All right.
Well, thanks, everyone. And we need to wrap this up. We've been going now for about 35 minutes or so. And Harris, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some words of wisdom and sharing from the heart and what works. So thanks, everyone.
All right. Have a great day. Take care.
Thank you. Goodbye.